Hello and welcome to the NFL Picks video for Week 18, brought to you by PoolGenius. My name is Stephen Andress, joined each and every week on this show by the lead analyst over at PoolGenius, Jason Lisk. In this video, we will look at some early week value plays for straight up pick 'em pools, just picking the winner. Where's the leverage? Where are the higher win probabilities for teams that are being picked at less than 50% in your pick 'em pools? Jason and I will also in this video share our favorite spread pick of the week and our favorite teaser legs of the week. It's a tricky pick week with so much going on in terms of team motivation and playoff picture and who's playing their starters and who's not. So we will share all the information we have at this point as we record this on Tuesday afternoon. And Jason, hello to you, sir. I know you were telling me off the air here that this is typically a very fun week for you guys on the PoolGenius side because you see a lot of information that maybe the casual sports fan or sports picker is ignoring in Week 18.
Yeah, I'm going to look back at some of our weekly win history. So this has actually been an above average week overall, the final week of the regular season. Looking at what we've had in recent years, 12.8%. So in our data, about 5%, roughly, give or take, depending on the year and the week, of people in their price structure will be expected to win a prize. So anytime we can more than double that, we'd like to see that. And we've seen that in several of the last few years in the final week of the regular season. And that's because of, people maybe not paying attention to line movement, things that impact the line other than going by name recognition and how teams have played all year, because this is the most deceiving week of the year. Motivations can change, injuries, players will get sit, they might even change mid-game. And so trusting the market is hammering these lines out based on all these motivations probably gives you an edge in a lot of these pick 'em pools when going against people that are picking team A because they're good.
I love it. Great information, and just the first of many we're going to share in this video. If at any point you find the information in this show valuable, easy way to say thank you to us, small token of appreciation will go a long way. Just to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know in the comments what you're picking in NFL survivor pools for Week 18. Any one of those three things, if you're feeling generous this New Year's season, go ahead and do all three. It helps us a lot. So thank you in advance for all of that. We also, before we get to the picks for Week 18, want to let you know about what's coming up down the pike here on the PoolGenius YouTube channel. This is obviously the final week of the regular season, the last chance to do a full-scale, long-form picks video. But obviously, if you're playing in NFL pick pools, then you may have interest in other pools throughout the calendar year in sports. One of those are golf one-and-done pools. Here's a preview of what's coming up for that in January.
Golf one-and-done pools are back in 2026. And if you want a real edge, you need more than Rory looks good this week. The winners plan the whole season. Here's how. The PoolGenius one-and-done product does the work for you with pick grades, golfer rankings, ownership rankings, course stats, and season-long planning. So stop the guessing. Start playing with an edge. Golf one-and-done pools start up in January of 2026. So go to PoolGenius.com/golf. Don't miss the cut.
And the golf one-and-done pool is just one of many reasons to consider becoming a PoolGenius subscriber. I took down a $10,000 NFL survivor pool using my PoolGenius subscription last year. It's one of the reasons I decided to join and do these videos with Jason and his staff, because I believe in the products that him and his team are putting together. I think they make people like me smarter when it comes to making picks, regardless of the type of pool they put in. We also have the NFL, after the NFL season, I should say, there are March Madness Pool Genius tools coming down the pike before we get back around the way here. Jason, anything else in your product library that you want to touch on when it's not football season?
Yeah, check back in with for all that. Oh, and if you are into all the different types of pools for March Madness, we got all types. We have Calcutta tools. We have Survivor March Madness Survivor a really fun game if you've never played it. Imagine Survivor on steroids, or crack, and that's what March Madness Survivor is, because you have to pick and then pick again a day later or 2 days later, and the teams get eliminated, so it gets pretty tough pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I know March Madness Survivor pools have also just skyrocketed in popularity as well. So Jason, his team are going to be talking about that come March as well. But obviously the golf pools as well. I will be doing a weekly video with Jason come mid-January here. Sony opens the first event of the PGA Tour season. So looking forward to hopping back on here every week during the PGA season for the most part and talking about golf one and done pools. We'll also be doing some special stuff for the majors and the Players Championship as well. So stay tuned for all of that. All right, shameless plugs over. Time to get to the good stuff here for NFL Week 18 picks. We begin with the value picks for straight up pick'em pools. No spread, just picking the winner of the games. And we are recording this video Tuesday evening. So keep that in mind when it comes to the information available when this was recorded. And obviously, our best advice to you all out there is, one, have a PoolGenius subscription so you can get the most up-to-date information and statistics and modeling from Jason and his team closer to kickoff when these games are happening on Saturday and Sunday. But also just keep an eye on all the news that's coming out this week, because there's a lot to take in on what's going on with all of these teams. So these picks are early week picks as of Tuesday evening. We begin with the first game on the slate. It's Saturday afternoon. It is sort of for the NFC Championship, NFC South Championship. There's a caveat to that now, but the Carolina Panthers are projected as 46% to win this game by PoolGenius, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yet, PoolGenius is projecting only 28% pick popularity. That 18% difference creates value. Now, the Panthers win the division if they win this game. If they lose, they can still win the division if the Falcons win on Sunday. That's whatever. If the Panthers are full motivation, they're playing in this game, they want to win the game, they want to win the division, and you guys, Jason, basically have this as a coin flip, whereas for whatever reason, the public doesn't see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, this one is close to a coin flip. I mean, we've got Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a favorite, but it's under a field goal.
Small
field. It's moved under that key number. Our models are leaning toward Carolina at the number, and so we've narrowed it to 46% Carolina, which is close to a pick'em. Meanwhile, the public is breaking heavily, interestingly, for Tampa. This has been a rough, my gosh. If Tampa makes the postseason, they will have done so by, I believe, losing. They've lost 7 of their previous 8, I believe.
Yeah.
They were 6-2 at one point.
So they'll be 2-7 in their last 9 if they win this game.
If they win. And if they somehow only win one of their last 9 games, they don't make the playoffs, which is amazing. This is astonishing. But yeah, Carolina, if the public's going to break this heavily on Tampa as the favorite, I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you, that they're breaking heavily either direction in this game. But if they are, you want to take the team like Carolina that's being underpicked. I don't think Carolina's great. It's funny that you could make an argument the 2 best teams in the South right now are playing in the other game, and the game that, by the way, could decide the division on Sunday, which is Atlanta and New Orleans. But that's neither here nor there.
Maybe the 2 best teams in the division right now are the 2 that are playing to decide the division, and neither of them are going to win the division.
Yeah, I'm picturing the memes, like there's various memes around. Like I think there's are you familiar with the Anakin? I'm gonna get some Star Wars memes, but
I'm a Star Wars guy. I'm like
Anakin meme where he's telling Padme, like he tells her something and she goes, "Oh, so that means this, right?"
Yeah, right.
Like I'm picturing the graphic where it's like Anakin's telling her, "Oh, yes, the Atlanta New Orleans game will decide the NFC South." Oh, so that means one of those 2 teams won it, right? Right? Yeah, so that's where we're at. So good news, Atlanta and New Orleans fans, your game may matter, and you may decide the division.
Yeah. Also, the Bucs injury report is not good. This is a Saturday game, so we got an initial injury report on Tuesday here. Quarterback Jamel Dean, DMP with a shoulder. Tackle Tristan Wirfs, DMP with a toe injury. He did not practice all last week either. Their other tackle, Luke Gedicke, ankle, limited participant on Tuesday. More defensive issues. Kalijah Cansey went on IR with a pectoral. Baker Mayfield, right shoulder and knee, limited on Tuesday. He's been banged up for 2 months, it seems. So, I mean, this is just, it's not just that they're playing poorly, and the defense, the pass defense in particular, has been one of the worst in the league over the past 6 weeks or so. They're not that healthy. I mean, even with getting a couple of the receivers back after most of the season, they still have too many other injuries that they're worrying about here. So it's just all going the wrong way for the Bucs, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are against them to win the division now because of that Atlanta win on Monday night. I mean, because no matter what they do, Atlanta's the favorite and will be playing to try to win it. So you wonder how that impacts their motivation, knowing that we've been on this, and it may not matter what we do on Saturday. The fun thing would have been to actually put the Atlanta New Orleans game. I know we have the great NFC West showdown, but to put it immediately after, people would have hate watched that game. It would have been fun on Saturday night to watch in New Orleans decide the division while the players are still on the field in the locker room for the previous game.
In fairness, we should say the other injury report too. The Panthers starting running back Rico Dowdle was a DMP Tuesday with a toe injury, so monitor that. They did lose their tight end Jatavian Sanders with a DMP. I don't think he's going to play. Look like a bad injury. They have it listed as a fibula. They might get their starting guard Rob Hunt back off of IR. He's still on IR, but he was a full participant on Tuesday with a biceps injury. So I think there's a very strong chance that they beef up their offensive line for this game against the Buccaneers, which would go a long way. He's a very good guard in this league. So keep an eye out for that. Next value pick, the other Saturday game, one for the 1 seed. The Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers, and PoolGenius projects the Seahawks as a value pick. The Seahawks opened as an underdog in the betting market. That quickly flipped. They are now a small favorite, but in pools, the public, for whatever reason at this point in the week, is not liking Seattle. PoolGenius projects 52% win probability for the Seahawks. Public only picking the Hawks 30% of the time. And I will give full transparency here. I am a 49ers fan. The Seahawks, I think, are going to win this game, Jason.
Yeah, this is an interesting one that the public's breaking slowly, but you know what? The 49ers have played back-to-back primetime games. Their offense is rolling. Seattle's kind of like not been great on offense recently. They've been getting it done, but that defense is so good. I mean, they just absolutely throttled Bryce Young on Sunday. I mean, in a game that Carolina could have won the division, as it turns out. I mean, what they hold him to, like 50 yards passing, like just something ridiculous.
Bryce Young did not complete a pass thrown more than 5 yards down the field. So his ADOT, average depth of target, is air yards. Every single pass he completed was less than 5 yards ahead of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, so I mean, they throttled him. We know it's crazy, like that these teams played back in week 1. We actually have 2 cases of that this week. That at minimum, I know Cincinnati, Cleveland played week 1 as well. But it's kind of a weird bookend because we didn't know how good Seattle was back in week 1, and before they got going, San Francisco won that game on the road before they had all their injuries too on defense, and won that game comfortably. Now, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I have on multiple occasions played this angle, and it's been an angle. I can find it. Teams that lose at home in 1 week, and so then they're playing the rematch, trying to avoid the sweep on the road, that are favored, I believe, have an astronomically high win and cover rate as favorites on the road, trying to prevent the sweep when they are the road favorite. We saw it with the Rams at the Niners this year. The Rams had lost at home went on the road to San Francisco, won big. We saw it previously with a couple other games this year. So I do think that like maybe San Francisco's win in week 1 is influencing people say, oh, they already beat them. Maybe it's the offense in recent games, the prime time, but whatever the reason, I'm with you. I think Seattle's the better team overall. The defense is definitely really good. I think San Francisco's defense is stabilized, but I also think this is a step up in class for what they've compared to what they've faced recently on defense for the 49ers.
So for me, I want to say a couple things. Number one, I basically am crossing off that week 1 game. They're totally different roster for the 49ers, especially on defense in that game. And I actually think the Niners were fairly unlucky to need a last-minute touchdown drive to go and win that game. A lot of weird stuff went against them in that game, including a blocked field goal, and some other stuff. Another missed field goal earlier in the game. This, I believe, was when Jake Moody was still kicking field goals. Good riddance. But he is gone. So that's just one of many ways it was a different game. To me, this handicap comes down to the line of scrimmage in the trenches. The 49ers offense looks incredible. And it might just, as a 49ers fan, I know better than most that when Kyle Shanahan and this offense is cooking, it's like Brock Purdy is on an MVP level. He looks incredible right now. But we also have to caveat that the 49ers have had one of the 2 easiest schedules in the NFL. And they've gone on this run beating offenses after their bye week that have been cooked, that have been devoid of talent. The Titans, the Colts, and the Bears. This is a huge step up in class to one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL, a defense that is the number 1 defense in stopping the run, first of all, and is one of the best at getting pressure on quarterbacks with only rushing 4 and not blitzing. And we have injury concerns for the 49ers this week. We don't know yet the extent of it, but their amazing all-pro anchor to that offensive line, left tackle Trent Williams, left that game on Sunday Night Football with the Bears with a hamstring injury. George Kittle was supposed to pregame test that ankle to see if he could play. The ankle was so swollen, he didn't even test it pregame. So he's very much to be determined in this game. Now, I like Jake Tonjes, but the 49ers are clearly better when George Kittle's on the field. Ricky Pearsall got nicked up a little bit. He was able to finish the game, but he got nicked up. So these are all huge factors and hugely important players for the 49ers and a huge step up in class against this defensive front for Seattle. And I'll just briefly say on the other side, Seattle's offense has struggled at times over the past month because the offensive line is banged up and they're getting pressure on Sam Darnold. I don't know if the Niners can do that. The Niners have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. So those issues that Seattle's been dealing with the offensive line may not matter as much this time against a 49ers front 7 that is missing a lot of talent of their own.
I'll just add to this by just saying Seattle is they're a crazy team. Go look at their stats. Like they're second in points scored, second in points allowed. They are, I mean, it's hard to find teams historically that meet. They're first in net yards per pass attempt this year. Now I know they're a low volume team passing, but they're ranked number 1 in pass efficiency on net yards per play. But they're also second in rushing yards per carry, and they're first in rushing yards allowed per carry. Like what they have done is turn the ball over. They're actually 31st in the league in turnovers. And yet they're at this point where they can get the 1 seed. So if the turnover luck even goes neutral in this game, you're looking at a team that is putting up historically dominant numbers on par with Super Bowl winning teams. And I'll take that team on the road in this spot because I think they're the better team overall. Now, San Francisco, this has been a great coaching job. You can make an argument that Kyle Shanahan should win Coach of the Year. Like
He might.
a lot of these coaches with success get kind of graded on a curve. And so I know it'll probably be Liam Cohen in Jacksonville, based on how people have historically voted, which is who's the biggest surprise on a team that was not good the year before and has a new coach. But you have a coach who's managed a massive amount of injuries, including at the quarterback position, and has his team almost about to get the 1 seed in the conference, in a tough conference. But I think Seattle, I would take Seattle to make that not happen, and I would play Seattle here.
Final value pick, the Minnesota Vikings. PoolGenius projects 72% win probability, but the public only picking the Vikings 40% of the time against the Green Bay Packers in Week 18. That difference, a 32% difference, creates some value here. Just looking at the spread, it's about 6.5 on the Vikings. This just comes down to the Packers have nothing to play for, Jason. They're locked into the 7 seed. They have a ton of injuries that rest would greatly benefit them. The only question I have is if they're going to bench both quarterbacks, because Malik Willis looked great too, and he might have some value in keeping him healthy if Jordan Love's not quite 100% here. So that's just the only thing I'll caveat here on a Tuesday is I'd feel a lot better about this pool pick if I knew that it was the 3rd string quarterback for the Packers and Clayton Tune playing in this game.
And I think if we find out it is Tune, this number goes over 7. But yeah, I tried to look up historically what teams that are kind of out of the playoffs but are pretty decently sized favorites against the playoff team in the final week of the season. They've covered about or a little less than 50%, but they've won about what you would expect based on the spread, which is to say the market's generally putting them at a number and on like these playoff teams resting that is pretty reasonable. But the public's going to treat this one, as we see, like the Packers are the better team or it's close. And so I think this is just a value no-brainer. People that aren't paying attention in your pool as much might be picking the Packers. Take the favorite. I mean, whether we can differ on whether it should be 6.5 or 6 or 5.5 or what the number could be, but Green Bay does have no incentive to win this game. Like, they're going to rest people. It's just a question of who gets drawn out of the hat that gets to be inactivated, because you got to have enough active to play the game. But Minnesota is rightfully the favorite. The question is, how big a favorite should they be?
All right, time for our favorite spread picks of the week for NFL Week 18. I'll kick things off here. The Seahawks were definitely in the mix here. I really like them this week against the Niners. If you can find -115 money line or better, that's fine. But I'll give it an actual spread here that I like. It's the Detroit Lions. This, as we record, is starting to move towards 3. So if you can find a Lions +3 at -115 or better, I think that's a good look this week. Even though the Lions are eliminated, Dan Campbell is not benching guys, and he's playing Ben Johnson, and they're going to go for it. And if the Lions are full go here, which I think they will be, the only one I'd want to definitely double check is if Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to play through that injury one more time here to close out the season. So keep an eye on him. But I know time has passed and ratings change, but the consensus market ratings in Week 15 would have made the Lions more than a 3-point favorite on a neutral field against the Bears. And since then, the Bears had a huge miracle win that they should have lost against the Packers and had a defense get eviscerated against the 49ers. So maybe the Bears just win in a shootout here. I like the over. The over might be my favorite bet on the board for the entire week, over 49.5. But I like the spread too here. Since we're talking spreads, I'll say Lions +3 here, Jason, even with a team that's eliminated that I think is still going to give their best effort.
Oh yeah, I think there's no doubt they're going to give their best effort here. I like that. I mean, I think they're going to go all out. It's crazy to think about like how things change over the course of the NFL season. I'm flashing back to week 2. Detroit had just gotten beaten up by Green Bay. They were playing the Bears. The Bears had just lost, I believe, to Minnesota in a close game that did not go their way, something that clearly has changed since then. And then they went to Detroit and got the doors blown off them. Could you imagine being in a time machine and the next week we said, oh, by the way, Detroit's going to be out of the playoffs and
And the
Chicago
Bears win the division.
favorite, and Chicago's going to be the home favorite in Week 18. Could you imagine?
Yeah, wild.
But yeah, I think this is definitely a spot. Chicago has something to play for, but that also means some pressure, right? Like I think Detroit's going to play free. They did not handle the must win in Minnesota very well, turning the ball over seemingly 6 turnovers. My gosh. I mean, 6 turnovers for the Lions at the Vikings to end their season in a game where Minnesota had 3 net passing yards. They lost that game. So I think they're going to be pissed. I think the playoffs is done, but I think this team comes out and plays hard.
All right. Your pick is very interesting because it was on my short list of bets this week, but I haven't quite pulled the trigger yet. Possibly you right now can make the case and get me over to the finish line here to make this bet, because I saw a lot of, I think, what you're about to say, but I want to hear it first because I think this is a very interesting dog this week.
Yeah, I mean, I like Miami getting over double digits. I believe they're at 11. You might see an 11.5. If you can get that number over 10, I like taking Miami. I like just like having a team with kind of nothing to play for, but it's shown a little life over recent weeks. They've been inconsistent, but that's better than teams that have shown us that they're absolutely horrific, like the Jets and like the Cardinals recently on defense. This Dolphins team is capable. I would say Quinn Ewers hasn't been terrible coming in to replace Tua. And by the way, we don't have the Tua narrative of he can't win in the cold. You would have heard that all week if he was the starting quarterback for this game. And so, but I like it for like I like it that I think Miami can cover this number anyway, with the pressure on New England to try to win to get the 1 seed or the 2 seed. But we also are going to know by kickoff, where Jacksonville sits. And they're going to be watching that Denver game. So it's one of those games that also, with a New England team that's banged up, they could be susceptible to the backdoor cover where they just don't care what happens in the fourth if they're up, if it doesn't impact their seeding. So I think you're kind of playing it both ways. I like the number anyway, but I also like having outs on that New England may not be fully motivated to continue to put the pedal down in the second half.
All right. So just to say it again a different way and double down what I believe you're saying. If the Patriots play their starters the entire game, you like the spread anyway.
Yeah, I lean liking it, yes.
I agree with that. But we have a situation where there's a non-zero chance that we're getting a really good bet if the Patriots do decide, we don't care for the 2 or the 3 seed. Let's just bench everybody and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll try if they're the 2 seed, but there also could be a difference between Denver's up big on the Chargers. We know that's lost, so that affects a little bit of our motivation. I mean, their motivation just leading into the game, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that
they could bench guys up 10, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, is they might be like fourth quarter, we're up.
And we're holding plus 11.
Yeah, yes. So if we give up points late, as long as we win the game, we're good. And that's why I would look for it over the 10. Because you can catch that back door, even if you're trailing in the fourth.
Yeah.
I think you're live to cover.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think there's multiple paths on this one for sure. All right, teaser pick of the week. This was actually going to be my favorite spread pick of the week. It has moved out of that range, but now it's a surefire teaser leg. It's the Panthers, plus 2.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We already had the Panthers pegged as a great leverage pick in straight up pick 'em pools, but now they're 2.5. We can tease up to the key numbers of 3 and 7. One more public service announcement for teasers because the prices have gotten out of whack at a lot of sports books out there, but a 2-leg 6-point teaser should cost you minus 120 or better. A lot of them are not giving you that price anymore. Ideally, it's minus 110. Those days are gone, but minus 120 is the market price usually here. Bet365 is really the only domestic book I've seen that's offering that still onshore here. So Panthers plus 2.5 up to plus 8.5 is my slam dunk teaser pick of the week for all the reasons we said at the beginning of this video. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just going in the complete wrong direction. I have really very little fear that the Bucks can just flip a switch and win by 9 or more points in this game.
Yeah, I mean that's a great one. I think that's one of the few that true Wong teasers. The otherwise you'd have to take San Francisco. I don't know that I'm comfortable with that.
I'm not either.
I could see a variability on that game. Kind of a higher.
I can't get out of my head what Mike McDonald did to Brock Purdy on Christmas night a couple of years ago when Brock Purdy was favored over the field to win MVP. And Mike McDonald is the defensive coordinator of the Ravens, made Brock Purdy look like Anthony Richardson or, Dylan Gabriel. Like, he completely confused him, 4 interceptions or something like that. So that is in the range of outcomes here that Mike McDonald can out scheme this and disguise a lot and just throw Brock Purdy for a loop.
Yeah, and so I'd kind of lay off that, but there's not really many other true ones. There's also, you could take Cincinnati down. I'm going to point to 2 that you could get to a key number or off a key number. Kind of debating both. I don't see Houston losing this Indy team, so if you can get it down to 3, I at least consider putting it past the 7 onto the 3, because maybe even if Houston doesn't play great on offense, I don't think. I mean, let me sum up Riley Leonard here of how much faith the Colts had in him. They went out and got a 44-year-old who hadn't played in 5 years when confronted with the possibility of playing him in a meaningful game. And now they're going against the best defense in the league with something to play for. Whether they cover the 10 may have whether the offense shows up for Houston in a meaningful way, but I don't see them losing this game. It's going to take like some really ridiculous stuff. It's going to take what happened with Minnesota versus Detroit last week, probably something like that. So that's one, but then there's also Buffalo against the Jets. This number's already moved down to 7 because of the risk that Buffalo sits starters. This Jets team is horrific. If you could take it to 1, it's basically like Bills to win the game. I think the Bills are playing to. They may not ultimately care what style points or number they put up, but this Jets team is so bad. Yeah. They've lost 4 in a row by 23. They've given up twice as many first downs and yards as they've gained in the last month. With Brady Cook at quarterback, a defense that traded off its best players, just an absolute kind of disaster situation with New York, where I think even if Trubisky plays half the game, they're still in pretty good shape. And this number's come down, I think, because of the risk of a backdoor or the Bills pulling starters in the second half. So I kind of like it because it's already accounting for some of that risk. And so I just don't see the Bills losing to this Jets team, this current version that's rolling out there and just getting absolute boat raced.
That is a sneaky good look for sure. I mean, we actually had a game a couple of weeks ago where the Bills were without both of their starting tackles. So we saw a game with both backup tackles in the game for the Bills, and they looked fine. They looked great. I think it was maybe the Pittsburgh game. Why can't Mitch Trubisky hand off to Ray Davis and run in a straight line and beat this Jets team? I mean, seriously,
they're not good.
Ray Davis has looked great when called upon in several spots over the past couple of years. So he would be the guy with James Cook on the bench.
If the Bills were at full strength playing to win, and this game was in week 16,
yeah, what would you make it?
It would be like 16 and a half, don't you think?
Yeah, I was going to say 17. Yeah, 100%. So, I'm with you. I'm with you on this.
So, and you and I, by the way, we should share this. We made picks, full game picks, but we were talking. One of our favorite picks next, in line with this thought process, would be grab the Bills' first quarter or halftime lines, because you're going to get it under 7 because of where the game line is. It was at 4.5 when you looked for the half, correct?
Yeah. So again, these are lines as of Tuesday evening, but we saw first half Bills minus 4.5 at even money, or Bills minus half a point. So if it's tied after the first quarter, you lose. So Bills minus half a point in the first quarter at like minus 105. I mean, we might get Josh Allen for that time period.
So, yeah, I think they're going to treat it like game 2 of the preseason or 3 of the preseason. And if they're up, they're going to pull the starters. Yeah. But they're probably going to play to get a lead, would be my guess, and then rest people.
It's a great way to think about week 18. Even in the worst case personnel scenario, do you like the bet? And I still do. I still do in this case, because I think the Jets are utterly unmotivated. And I think they're Brady cooked, man. They're Brady cooked. That's for sure.
MSD, baby.
Yeah, not so subtle shot by me off the air saying I'm not sure Brady Cook could even go back to the SEC at this point. So it's not great.
Somebody would give him an NIL deal and pay him money. I mean, there's guys that, but I'm surprised he's getting paid.
Cooking school NIL deal. Yep. There we go. I should be an agent. All right, everybody. I hope it was helpful. Again, thank you to everybody that's watched these videos throughout the entire season. If it was helpful, do us a small favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know in the comments who you're picking for week 18, and consider a PoolGenius subscription. This stuff works. I am a living, breathing testimonial of that. Jason and his team, his tools helped me take down a $10,000 survivor pool last year. It helps me find leverage in these weekly pick pools. So thank you to you and your entire team, Jason. It's been a pleasure doing these videos with you. And I look forward to seeing you again during golf one and done season. But for now,
join us. Join golf after you cash in your pools.
Is it too early to wear quarter zips in January for the golf one and done videos? Is that all right? Well, you're wearing one in December, so
yeah, I've got my fleece one on.
Must be okay then. Must be okay. All right. Until quarter zip season, Jason, until quarter zip season, we will see you all later on. For Jason Lisk, I'm Stephen Andress. Best of luck in your week 18 NFL pick pools.